Welcome to Z.E.R.T's Information Highway for all you members on the road or on the run. The mission of this podcast is to relay relevant information from training guns and gear to mindset, motivation, and self-preservation from subject matter experts. So sit back, open your mind, crank the volume, and for more information, log on to ZERTNation.com. And a big shout out to our sponsors, Primary Weapon Systems, PWS.
Jarhead. Noun. Slang for marine. Origin. From the resemblance to a jar of the regulation high and tight haircut. The marine's head by implication therefore also a jar. An empty vessel.
What's going on, Z.E.R.T Nation? Welcome to podcast number 3 of Information Highway, sponsored by Primary Weapon Systems. So today's guest is the man a lot of you know, is Instructor X, aka Paul. He's waving to the mic, which you didn't know it's not filmed. But we're gonna talk about Paul's past here. He has a very unique background, coming from the Marine Corps Infantry, Scout Snipers, to the Ranger Battalion, into Special Operations. But what I want to focus on is his woodland camo days in the United States Marine Corps. Paul? I mean, Mr. X.
Good job on that one. I before I did the whole Ranger SF thing, 16 years in the Army, I spent a little bit of time in the Marine Corps. I can just go from start to finish, or you can ask me questions.
No.
Completely up to you.
So, when you enlisted in the Marine Corps, obviously you wanted to go infantry, but when was the transition from going, from grunt to going over to state platoon or going to selection for Scout Snipers? What was that transition like?
I was lucky enough that most state platoons, I'm not sure if most of your viewers know this, but just like everything else, to get into certain selected platoons or companies or units, whether it's stay or reconnaissance, you got to go through an NDOC. And those NDOCs are very few and far between, depending on their manning needs and so on and so on. But I had an opportunity whenever I was in, for those of you that don't know, I was in 2nd Battalion, 7th Marines out in 2nd Battalion, 7th Marines out in 29 Palms. And so people ask me why I got out of the Corps and joined the Army. 2 words, 29 stumps. No, but in all seriousness, I was in a great platoon, great company. I learned a lot. But about whenever I first showed up at 7th Marines, they stuck me in a platoon, and my unit was off training. This was 20 years ago. I can't exactly remember where they were, but they weren't there, and I was like part of a rear detachment, did a lot of raking sand and a lot of details getting ready for my platoon and company to show back up. But they were in the process of doing a battalion CWSS, Combat Water Safety Survival event to get, in the Marine Corps, pretty much yearly you have to do a swim test. And they need, everything's taken care of in-house in the Marine Corps. So they need combat water safety swimmers to make sure that Marines don't drown when they're given this swim test. So right when the battalion got back, they did the swim, test, swimming competition to basically figure out who was going to be, McWIS, MC, or CWSS, I'm sorry. So I swam in high school. I was a pretty good swimmer. So I was only in the fleet for about 2 weeks before they're like, hey, private, come here. You're going to go and do this. I was like, well, shoot, I swam in high school. This is easy. So the cool thing is everybody that was part of this McWIS, this CWSS course, I'm sorry?
Sorry, no, yeah.
But everybody that went through this course, it was about 3 weeks, was all the members in state platoon. So it was the entire state platoon, me, and another private. And it was a guy that I had showed up, or I went through SOI with, and we went and unfortunately went out to 29 Palms and got stationed out there. So for 3 weeks, I got to know these guys. Now, in saying that, I'm going to be completely honest. I never even thought about being a sniper. I joined the Marine Corps to, go do the whole force recon and,
As we
action
all
guy. Everybody joins the Marines to be, force recon or a sniper. I wore glasses, so I wasn't blind, but I definitely had a vision impairment. So I just thought in my head, I'll never be a sniper. I wanted to do the whole force reconnaissance thing. Well, after hanging out with these guys for about 3 weeks and getting to know them, I was like, holy cow, these guys are cool. And the Marine Corps does a little, I don't want to say they lie about anything, but when I showed up to my, and this is, if any of you guys ever joined the Marine Corps, this is definitely what you do not want to do. I showed up to my battalion commander and, reported in, standing at attention, and told him who I was, reporting for duty, shook my hand, welcome to the unit. And the first thing that came out of my mouth was, I want to try out for Force Recon. Well, that's the very last thing you want to tell a battalion commander. You just showed up to their battalion is, hey, I want to leave and go be, reconnaissance. He wasn't too happy about that, told me to shut up and drive on. And can't remember the exact words. I'm pretty sure there was a little bit of profanity there. But basically understood that I had to serve in my unit for 2 pumps and or 2 years, whichever comes later. So for those jarheads out there, that there's no way 2 pumps are going to happen in 2 years. You can't even get 2 pumps in 4 years. So I learned very quickly that I was stuck in my unit for 4 years. If you ever want to go force reconnaissance or something, basically they're saying that you got to re-enlist. So I was happy about being a grunt and everything and wanted to go and do great things. But I met these guys from State Platoon a week after this McWiz CWSS Combat Water Safety Swimmer event, and I was already in pretty good shape. I mean, I was 20 years old, ran cross country, I swam, I ran track. I was skinny, was about 170 pounds back then, but I mean, I could run forever, I could swim forever. A week after McWiz, they had a stay in dock. So my timing with all this stuff happened was pretty much perfect timing. And that's one thing for the rest of my career. My timing was perfect in Ranger Battalion, Special Forces, and everything. Haven't had the greatest career, gotten a little bit of trouble and everything. It happens. But joining the Marine Corps, going through CWSS, and then a week later, I was going through a week and a half NDOCT to go and try out for State Platoon, which stands for those of you that, it's basically back in the day, Surveillance and Target Acquisition Platoon. They changed the name to Scout Sniper Platoon. I think they ended up changing the name back, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that's I went to the NDOC. Like I said, I was a stud. I could run forever. I could ruck. I could swim. Biggest thing was probably the obstacle course that gave me problems. But they saw that I had, I was motivated and willing to learn, and we went from there.
Yeah, and I think what a lot of guys don't realize is I call it the woodland camo days, right? So,
Yeah,
pre-GWOT, pre-Global War on Terror, when we all went in, you can have more of that if you want.
Okay.
Is, back in the day, I think, like you said, your 2 pumps or 2 years, but at the time we're in, to even be considered for force, you had to have a minimum of 4 years in. And then battalion recon, just standard reconnaissance guys, you were lucky. We had one NDOC, like the first 2 years I was in.
Yep.
And, probably out of the 100 swinging dicks, 2 dudes passed it. But nowadays, everything's accelerated because war's going on, they need bodies. But back then, it was really hard. So just think about that, guys. Like, back in, the 90s, pre-9/11, you had to, serve anywhere from 4 to 6 years in the infantry or, various platoons to even be considered for force. And that just shows the maturity of the infantry marine at that time. And that's a hard life, man. 6 years in the fucking grunts is no joke.
Even our battalion, I pretty much, at the end of all the physical, the NDOC, you go to a board, And I think half the people on the board didn't even want to take me because I was a cherry, I was a boot. They're like, this is a new guy, serve some time out in the fleet, in a regular platoon, learn how to be an infantryman, because training doesn't teach you how to be an infantryman. Going out and actually applying, it's OJT. Yeah. It's on the job training, just like everything else. And you learn the skill to be an infantryman, and then it's like everything else. In order for that sniper to support an infantryman, because I'll tell you right here, everybody's job in the military, even a sniper, it's his responsibility, his duty, his job to support that infantryman. How can I support an individual if I don't know what that job is? Now, in saying that, even as a scout sniper, this was before I even went to scout sniper school, because that doesn't happen right away. I went through, our battalion had a fire team leader school. They had a squad leader school. They had all these schools that I went to as a sniper before I even went to sniper school in 1995. Yeah, in 95.
The junior in high school.
Yep. But I sold myself. You got to go in there and convince the leadership, that my board, how hard I was going to work, and if I didn't pass the cut, I was going straight to a line company. But I sold myself, and they bought it. So being a boot, being a cherry, to go to a state platoon. But, I had to bust my rear end. Rangers, you have the Ranger Creed in a sniper platoon. You've got the definition, all these definitions that you have to learn. And I still remember them. The definition of a scout sniper, a sniper mission, reconnaissance, surveillance, target acquisition. Every night I had a different definition that I had to learn. I had to, bust my rear end when it came to knowledge, land navigation. They were always quizzing me. And if I didn't do my homework at night and came back the next day, I not only risked, getting a pretty nice hefty smoke session, which happened anyways. Yeah. I was going to get kicked out of state platoon.
That's hazing back in the day.
We don't call it hazing. We call it wall-to-wall counseling.
Did you guys have MCIs, the Marine Corps Institutes, that you had to complete?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So, yeah. Just, the thing is, guys, a lot of people, when you go, like, on the Marine Corps side, there's homework, man. You have to study to get promoted to Lance Corporal. You had to complete, I think it was 3 or 4 MCIs, which is Marine Corps Institute.
A 7,000 series to become an NCO.
Yeah, so there's, to get your blood stripes. So it's a process, guys, because, you just think, oh, these guys are fucking, jarheads, they're fucking stupid. But some of the most smartest fucking dudes I've ever known were grunts because they wanted to be grunts. And it takes a lot, guys, to... And
I'm not trying to piss anybody off or anything in other branches, but the Marine knows that the Marine Corps is probably the best leadership school in the military. The leadership that I got from the Corps that I took, Marines make great Rangers. I knew a lot of Marines that joined the Army and became Rangers, went Special Forces, and some of the best leaders that I knew and that I know in the Army were Marines. Because one thing about the Marine Corps is when you go to the fleet, when I showed up to 2-7, I was in charge of the person that showed up the day after me. I was responsible for him to get him up to pace. And, every Marine is considered a leader. And, the Army's got, in Ranger Battalion, we had the Spec 4 Mafia, and it's like, and that's the difference between the specialist and the Army that isn't expected to have any leadership responsibilities. If he is expected to have leadership responsibilities, they make him a corporal. When the Marine Corps, there is no specialist. You go from Lance Corporal, and then as an E4, you're a non-commissioned officer. And only a selected few in the Army are non-commissioned officers. So they're grooming you from the first day that you're in the fleet to become a leader, not just a leader of men, but a leader of Marines. And pretty intense.
No, and when you say that too, because, I was a West Coast Marine, so did, my basic training, School of Infantry and Weapons School on the West Coast, and shifted over to the East Coast to Lejeune. But when I got to 1-8...
And it's funny because I was opposite. I was Paris Island, and they shipped 3 of us that went through our SOI together out of our entire class, and I didn't ask for it, to go out to 29 Palms.
There was 2 of us.
So,
or no, 3. Me, Myers, and Kremeninski. Hey, if you guys are listening, what's up, motherfuckers?
I don't remember my buddies.
Well, I just remember it was lonely, man, because, you spend all that time going through boot camp, SOI, weapons school, and you're like, oh, fuck, man, we're going to get over to, to 1.5. Everyone went to 1.5. 3 of us at a weapons company that were, all machine gunners at that time got shipped to Lejeune, which it was fucking miserable, but back to that point about the leadership, we had a huge group of Gitmo Marines. So at that time, Cuba, Gitmo was there. Obviously, pre 9/11, it got scaled down. Fast Company took it over, then the Army took it over, turned it to prison. But back in that day, like, Gitmo was the shit. It was like the hard dick infantry Marines, hazing, no fucks. They were doing mirror patrols with the Cubans every night. It was a big deal. Like, if you went to Cuba, I actually requested to go to Cuba because you're stuck there for a year, but after that, you got to request your duty station. So that was my way of trying to go, going above mass? I was trying to, what do you call it?
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yeah, go above mass to get stationed out there.
Request mass?
Request mass.
Yeah.
Request mass to speak to get out of fucking shithole Lejeune. To get over there. But long story short, those Marines that came back, man, were the hardest fucking individuals, but they were squared the fuck away, man. Like,
Well, all you got to do is watch A Few Good Men.
Oh, jeez.
Come on.
Oh, jeez. But no, there was a big difference. So you have, like, the West Coast version of leadership, the East Coast, and then you have guys that are, in harder run places. So when they came back, they were more rigid. They no mercy, man. No mercy at all. So back to that leadership. So once you pass the state platoon NDOC, let's talk about your training as far as stalking. Let's talk about stalking standpoint.
Well, what a lot of people have a misconception, and they think, it's kind of like state platoon and snipers. It's kind of like Ranger Battalion and Ranger School. There's a lot of snipers in the Army, and there's snipers that are, in the Marine Corps. I don't want to say any MOS can go to sniper school, but, we had, Force Reconnaissance Marines going through sniper school. I went through sniper school with two Navy SEALs. One passed and one didn't pass. And, you have a lot of, you don't have to be in a state platoon to go to sniper school. Now, it's going to set you up for success if you're in a state platoon, because that was my life. I mean, for that year and a half that I trained up for sniper school, it was, we were shooting, we were stalking, we were, doing your observing, you got your Kim's games going on. Every day of my life was, in essence, you're preparing for combat. But if nothing's on the horizon, you're training to go to school. So, I mean, the problem with 29 Palms, which actually made me a good stalker, was the 29 Palms. It's a lot like Las Vegas. There's nothing out there. When you do a stalk, and basically, for those of you that don't know, a stalking sequence, you're looking at having to move about a kilometer from point A to point B to get into a position to take a shot on a target. If you watch Clear and Present Danger, it's a little bit like that, but not exactly. The walkers that are out looking for you, they're not really looking for you. It's the observers behind the glass. They're on top of a vehicle in an elevated position. They get binoculars and spotting scopes, and they're literally sitting there waiting for you to make a mistake. And a mistake could be anything from bad movement, bad ghillie suits. I mean, just doing just about anything that's going to get you caught.
A fart.
I'm sorry?
A fart.
I doubt a fart. So, but these observers behind the glass are school-trained snipers. So they know what they're doing. I mean, when I got behind the glass as a graduate of sniper school, it's just like everything else. I know the mistakes that people are going to make before they even make them. Gotcha. You know what to look for. And in 29 Palms, it's the desert. So if you got to stalk 800 meters up to a position within 200 meters away from that target or that observer, then you got to do it on your face. You literally got to low crawl 800 meters, and you might get in an area where you're behind a piece of sagebrush or a bush that you can look up and observe and figure out where you are. But there's no weasel walking or hands and knees crawling or a lot of stuff that you can do at like Fort Bragg or at Pendleton, where you went. Whenever I went to school at Pendleton, stalking was easy because I spent so much time on my face doing all the work and the nitty gritty. But I mean, a stalking lane, you could change camouflage 3 times in the middle of a stalking lane just because the vegetation changes. So you constantly got to update. You're constantly moving. You don't want to waste time low crawling if you don't have to low crawl. You have to constantly put some type of vegetation and or obstacle between you and the observer at all times. It's really, really easy to get disoriented just because as you're crawling, you lose exactly where that observer is, where that target vehicle. So, and that's how a lot of guys get caught if you're not paying attention. One of the worst things in school with sleep deprivation and food deprivation, you end up stalking by somebody that's doing a hands and knees crawl and they're asleep. They're sitting there waiting for a pig to move, and I can get into pigs and hogs a little later, but they're sitting there waiting for a pig to move out in front of them, and as they're waiting, they fall asleep. Next thing you know, 30 minutes later, now you got to move 200-300 yards, and you barely have enough time to do it. And I can't say if it has or hasn't happened to me, but yeah, I can. It doesn't matter. I got my hog's tooth, but yeah, there's a few socks that I fell asleep on, and I had to a lot of catching up to do. That there's a lot of things in in our jobs in the military, but stalking is one. Everybody always talk. I'll even call myself a dumb grunt. But when you've got to piece all this stuff together, and that's one of those exercises in sniper school that you have to pass with a certain percentage, and you got to know what you're doing. I mean, you got to put all that together to accomplish that mission. And just like everything else, they say if it was easy, everybody could do it. And that sniper community is such a small percentage of people that you really take pride in having your face in that graduation picture, because there's really not a lot of people that have done that, let alone Marines that that have their pictures in their faces in a picture at sniper school.
Yeah, and so when we talk about like the shooting component, obviously that's there's like when we talk about there's a lot of sniper schools, which is basically just a straight shooting component, getting behind the glass, knowing ballistics. But then, the stalking segment is the suck, the terrible thing. And with the story that I'll never forget, this was, I think, like 99, we're in Lejeune, and stuff was going on in Bosnia. We're getting ready to go out on a pump, and we're training up on stuff. And, for us, we would fly in and walk the scout snipers to a point, drop them off, and then head back, and they would go off and do their 2-day observation on the target, right? So we'd fly back in, meet to that point, we'd grab these dudes, and I'll never forget when we got on the bird, flying up, and the scout sniper, he literally unzipped he had a flight suit that was convertible, unzipped it, he opened it up, and he literally had a nest of ticks in his stomach and chest, so he laid in that, and because that was, they got their spot, it was on their visuals, but it must have been a bed of like deer ticks, and it was the most fucking disgusting thing I've ever seen. So the corpsman sitting there slowly trying to get all these things out, and I was literally just gagging in the helicopter. I'm like, and that really put a profound respect for these guys on the mental and physical discipline that these guys had. He sat there for 2 fucking days, knowing that he's just getting ate up by, whatever, like these deer ticks, but they'll always stay with me on that one.
Well, everybody talks about, joining the Marine Corps and doing all, or the military, just joining the military, and whether you're an Air Force pilot or a PJ or you're a Ranger, Airborne or Ranger or Green Beret or Delta Force in the Army, or I think Navy has some special operations out there. I don't know. I can't keep up with everybody. But, everybody wants to be high speed, low drag. Well, what people don't realize, Marine snipers are not high speed, low drag. They are very low speed, high drag, where you want to shoot, move, and communicate, locate, close with, and destroy the enemy by fire and maneuver. A Marine sniper spends more time on their face, sitting there, observing. The cool thing about, a Marine sniper is it's not a Marine sniper, it's a Marine scout sniper. His job isn't just, you just sit there and shoot his gun. We always used to say we're not only the trigger finger for the battalion commander, we're also the eyes for the battalion commander, because you have that surveillance, that reconnaissance, and that target acquisition. I called in Navy gunfire, naval gunfire as a Marine scout sniper, onto objectives in 29 Palms. You're talking about hundreds of miles away to call in Navy, naval guns. I called in naval aircraft. It was just cool to, that whole target acquisition. It's not just my sniper rifle. I can drop a bomb on these bad guys, that's always, that was the stuff that we were constantly training on. And,
Well, technology in that point, what people got to understand is like now, we've been in like an urban conflict, regardless if it's Iraq. Obviously, Afghanistan's a different situation, but pre-GOWAT or Global War on Terror, 9/11, we didn't really have sophisticated. We were the Marine Corps, man. We had 7 cents of every dollar spent on defense budget, right? We didn't have GPSs. We had to, operate map and compass. And then when we talk about, when Mr. X talks about being the eyes. Just like close protection, when I talk about protective intelligence sets the tone of the protective operations, intelligence sets the tone of the mission. So back then, they didn't have drones or all this other stuff. They were literally putting bodies in an objective on a target to gather as much as intel and data and scoot back out to, relay that information so they can properly plan, and execute a mission. So, we're talking about that woodland camo era, prior, obviously, being at war for 17, 18 years now, has really moved us forward electronically. But when we think back to the woodland camo era, when we were navigating by, compass and map and
I hate to say this, but I think that's something that not necessarily that the military's missed out on. But when I went through sniper school, there was, like you said, there was no GPS. And still, when you go through land nav courses now, everything's map and compass, pace count, terrain association, dead reckoning. And that's great skills, but the military, I think, nowadays kind of gets away from that because everybody's so used to using that GPS and, the technology. Well, when that stuff breaks, what happens? Do you still have that skill set? When I went through sniper school, we would do observations where we literally we did a field sketch. You drew a picture of the objective, and they would give you tips on, shading, perspective, 3-dimension, just so you could add that to that field sketch. Because back then, we didn't have cameras and the internet. Nowadays, you take a picture of something. You take a picture, and you can download it into your sat phone and send it somewhere, and you don't have to worry about doing a field sketch until that stuff breaks. And then what happens? We did a mission in Japan, which my buddy of mine, we were on a sniper team, 2-man sniper team. That's the way it works in the Corps. And he was on the objective. We were working a joint team effort, and he was on the objective telling me exactly what he saw on the objective. And as he was telling me what he saw on the radio, I was sketching it. So as I was sketching it, he was giving me the dimensions of the buildings, how far apart these buildings were. And after he was done, I drew a quick field sketch. Well, I gave it to the unit commander. When I gave him the sketch, he was like, how the heck do you know what the objective looks like? You've been sitting back here with me. I was like, well, I've got a sniper team up there. He's got eyes on the objective, the whole 9 yards. And he kind of shrugged me off. They did a little rehearsal, put the engineer tape. It's like, hey, this is what they say this objective looks like, blah, blah, blah. So they did their rehearsals. When they came back from the mission, I had a dozen Marines come up to me. It's like, dude, that objective was exactly what you said it was going to be. If we would have taken that seriously, we could have just develop such a, of course,
Took
keep
it
it simple,
seriously.
stupid. But from that point on, they saw what an asset we could be. And like I said, we didn't have a cell phone. We didn't have this technology with the camera, but just from him reporting to me what he saw, me sketching it on a piece of paper, 3-dimensional, couple different views, from the north, the west side, so on and so on, we made that work. And that's the type of asset that a scout sniper team can be. And that's the type of asset that you can have. It's unfortunate. I got some buddies that are in a LURS team in the Army. Army is doing away with LURS teams. And just because technology is taking its place, well, what happens when that technology goes down? Yeah. You need those bodies on the ground collecting and reporting information. It doesn't matter how much money we spend on these aircraft. You need that infantry guy on the ground to do his job. That's how you take the land.
Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago, and Scott's going to correct me on this. The EMP.
Electromagnetic pulse.
Yeah, electromagnetic pulse. So I was talking with some guys from group, 2 years ago, and basically they're going back to those fundamentals because bigger powers like China, if they did implement an EMP, they would be going back to basic land nav. They would go back to
the Stone Age.
Yeah, the iron sights, and going back to those basic infantry fundamentals. Being as a machine gunner, when we'd set up our static position, we would have that range card. We would do, our sectors and fields of fire, our estimated, ranges, etc. So if, we weren't there, we got killed, and someone else had to jump in our spot, they can pull that range card, and know our fields of fire, intersecting fields of fire, and range estimations, etc. And it's like those brilliance and the basics, it seems like it's going away because technology's kind of taken away, away from that. And it's just
well, it's something that we always did, and you do it in the Marine Corps. We did it. We put emphasis on it in Ranger Battalion. It's a military thing. I wish civilians would adopt it more. It's something that we call the PACE plan. And PACE, 4 easy letters, PACE. P, primary. You got your primary, your alternate, your contingency, your emergency. In other words, always have a backup plan. We do it when we carry, if my primary weapon is my AR-15, my alternate's my pistol, then I got a knife on me. That's my contingency. Emergency is hand-to-hand combat. I know how to defend myself. Navigation, same thing. Have your primary navigation, whether it's a GPS, on your phone, GPS in your car, a handheld GPS, a mapping compass. If all else fails, you better be able to figure out which direction north is using that North Star. Communications, it's the same thing. You hate to bring up movies, but seeing a lot of movies lately, if that primary communication goes down, you better have a backup plan. You better have tested that backup plan because your life and the life of your men depends on it. I see people taking a vacation or going, we go to Walmart right now and there's an accident, on South Valley View. What's our backup plan? Just sit there and wait for that accident? No, we're going to go around. We have an alternate route. You should always have contingencies no matter what you do. And a 2-man sniper team, we had our, back in the day, we had our Singars radio. If that sucker went down, guess what? It's freaking your Prick 77 with a 3-second burst. You always have a contingency. You always have a plan because guess what? If something bad is going to happen, if that item's going to fail, if it can fail, it's going to fail. So,
and that's one thing, the big thing we talked about in EP dad or contingency, when I was working in North Africa, we were doing a cross-country movement and guys were plotting our GPS, and we had a little sat phones in this little program called Guardian Angel that we can send text and receive information, but it came down to fucking paper map, man.
Yeah.
Because we crossed that threshold, our GPS, our signals failed. We can raise stuff up on that phone, but we're burning batteries. But having a paper map to this day, think about how we used to travel back in the day before, smartphones and GPS. We had a fucking map, and we knew we highlighted those areas. That little yellow Sharpie, knew where we were going. It's just don't forget those fundamentals, guys. That's what we're trying to relay in this podcast. So, well, hey guys, we're 34 minutes in.
I told you this was I can talk.
Yeah, he can. And so,
Perfect for the California commuters.
yeah.
Who's that voice? Where'd that come from?
That's Gambler. He has the radio voice here on Information Highway. No, guys, hey, just, it's just something new. I hope you guys are enjoying it. I don't want it to be story hour, but still hopefully good, relevant information and story time as well. We'll follow up from his Mr. X's Marine Corps career. Maybe we'll lateral into his Ranger career than SF, because it's very interesting, and from that standpoint to have experience in those various areas. Because when I got out of the Marine Corps, I was like, fuck this, never again. But
I was kind of a glutton for punishment.
Yeah,
so
you got hard swinging dicks like Mr. X that is begging for pain. So, hey, man, I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. If you did, please share. Please let people know about Z.E.R.T Nation and the value it brings to become a member. And don't forget to stop by our sponsors, Primary Weapon Systems, for this podcast. I'm XP001 and
Mr. X. And if you guys have any questions at all, by all means, leave them in the comments below.
And he'll check them
whenever.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Z.E.R.T is what you make it. Your drive and dedication to improving your skills and helping to build a community of like-minded individuals in your area is up to you. Z.E.R.T Community Network and Training is an opportunity. Take it as far as you desire, and remember that you reap what you sow. In life, nothing that has high value comes easily. You have to want it, and you have to have the drive to make it happen. So get involved. Most importantly, always train to help better yourself so you can protect the ones you love. Z.E.R.T is not just an organization. It's a lifestyle. ZERTNation.com